Stinking. Right.
God, I'm stinking. That's a great intro.
Welcome to Toppy When, the only podcast you will ever need where the W was important until... Nice crying in the background.
Oh, good. My kid's crying now.
Welcome to Toppy When, the only podcast you will ever need. And it's another episode of Six of One and Bill of the Other. Bill, what is the topic of today's nonsense?
Today is equipment breaking. No, social media addiction.
Social media addiction. This is something that I suffer from. I think most people won't admit to this, but I'm quite happy to admit to it. Depends what we class as social media, because I'm including everything here.
Yeah,
I'm saying YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and I would even go so far, I know it's not, but I would even go to so far as a lot of the streaming stuff as well, because it all becomes a haze of absolute nonsense. But
TikTok is weird because did you ever think you'd get addicted to a Chinese spy? Like back in the day, the KGB would just spy on you. You wouldn't get like addicted to them, you know? Like
I never really thought about it like that. Because
I'm addicted to Dmitriev. Yeah, because TikTok really is in the Dark Knight when Morgan Freeman dropped his phone into that building in Hong Kong, and then it measured out the whole building for Batman, and it shut off an EMP. That's essentially what TikTok is, as far as Chinese. I mean, everyone now connects your data, but this is a whole other level. I almost expected your ceiling to cave in at this point.
It's been a bad day.
Someone just falls through behind you.
It's been a bad day.
So,
TikTok, the USA, I think it was during the Trump thing, at some point the USA talked about banning TikTok because they believed it was, as you were saying, used by the Chinese to...
They had a meeting and
infiltrate us.
They agreed to be able to keep the toe, so they had to lose TikTok, but TikTok toe. Never mind. Sorry.
See, that's the thing, right? Until War Games, Matthew Broderick or whatever, till War Games, when Joshua, that's a bit of a giveaway there, where Joshua plays... Oh, for f***'s sake.
I saw your face freeze, and I was just waiting for it. The Mercurial number 6 would like to announce he is changing his name to EOS Webcam Utility. Like Prince, he has a symbol now. That is this camera with the exclamation. Oh, he's back.
War Games, starring Matthew Broderick. Joshua, giveaway for the end of the film, he works out that there's no point fighting World War III, nuclear, ballistic missile, whatever it was called, because he plays tic-tac-toe with himself and he... not sexually, and he realises that there's no way to... The only way to win is not to play. The only... hang on, we can do this. The only way to win is not to play. But in this country, because we call it noughts and crosses, and we've never called it tic-tac-toe...
Knots and crosses?
Noughts, not nuts. Holy fish.
Like balls?
Noughts!
Oh,
no, you use it. I'm American, I call it zero.
What's it?
Oh, I call it
you
zero.
You call it naught? You're
Naught.
literally 7 minus naught equals 7. Is that what you say in math over there?
Yeah. Noughts, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Guess what? That's not it. That's not how to say it.
God. Where did we get to? Why are we talking about tic-tac-toe? Why are we talking about tic-tac-toe? What's happened?
I made
What's
bad
happened?
joke about TikTok being a
right.
social media thing. But yes, we were talking about all of the different social media platforms, depending on your age and your social interactions is probably going to place where you are on the paradigm of which one of these bad boys you're addicted to. I am on Facebook just because I want to stay connected to people and I have kids and stuff. I would say my biggest addictions, though, are Reddit and YouTube. I am on Twitter, but I don't use it as much. My wife uses Snapchat and not TikTok because I won't allow it in my house. I'm like an old religious father. Like, don't you be bringing that TikTok home to this house. I
know you're doing that for the purposes of a joke, but do you really not do you really not do TikTok?
I don't like forbid it or anything, but she really doesn't use it. I will say with my kids, I probably would say don't. Because, look, every social media platform now collects your data, but there has been... TikTok is kind of like just another level. Like sometimes with sports, you have teams, this team's better than that team, and this team is in a class of its own. TikTok is in a class of its own. It's also interesting, I read a study that the algorithm that TikTok uses in China, they tend to push you more towards like social ideals, and they push you towards like being part of a community. And in America, it's like how to prank your friends, and it, not nefarious on its head, but secretly it's like let's promote sort of bad behavior, because they actually tried to create other apps before that, more in the news realm, to try to steer public opinion. And this is kind of a very subtle way to do it, which is interesting. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Carry on. So carry on.
No.
I was to say, have you used TikTok? Have you watched it?
I don't have it, so no.
Because I've looked at it. I've put it on my phone now because I created an account on it, and because what happened was probably over a year or two ago now, I had a phone call from somebody who said, "Do you realise you're on TikTok? You've come up on my TV screen on the homepage of TikTok, and you've currently got 450,000 views on this video." No, I'd never uploaded it, so someone just uploads my stuff onto TikTok. So I'm a bigger star on TikTok, on a platform that I don't use, than I am in my own life. But when I watch it now, because I just sort of flick on there just to have a look at it, it's just, they're all the same. So if you've seen Instagram Reels,
yes,
and or I have the videos on Facebook, or YouTube Shorts, they're all the same. So everyone's just copying TikTok, and I know what you mean. It started off, didn't it, with just people falling over and stuff, and now it just seems to be very sexual, to be fair. On TikTok, it's just all girls doing all sorts of stuff in 15 seconds. And of course, I have to watch it for what?
Sounds like my sex life. I have to watch
it for... That's a better joke than I was going to say. I said I was going to say I had to do lots of research. Obviously, I was watching TikTok for about 7 days solid. But yours is better. That was better, yeah.
Well, I was going to say, talking about social media as a whole, they have algorithms that try to get you hooked. And the two main ones are sex and anger. And sex doesn't really hit me as much because I'm married, and I don't have a stepsister or a stepmom. So a lot of the sexual stuff just isn't aimed at me. But a lot of the stuff that gets you, and gets me too, is the anger. And an example of that was, I read an article on Reddit like last week, and it was two like toddlers found someone abandoned them in the desert, and one that was like 8 months old was like face down, and thank God they're okay. But I read this article, and I got furious about it, and I was anxious about it because I'm a parent, and then you realize I am doing no good reading it. So in other words, me being angry and anxious isn't helping those kids at all.
No.
It's making me angry and anxious, and yet there's no real effect. I'm not going to go, honey, from now on we got to be more careful about abandoning our kids in the desert. Like there's no real like change that it's got. So all it's doing is I am bringing in something that's making me angry and anxious that has no effect on my life, and now that's just sort of in addition to whatever stressors you have to deal with in real life. And if you think about like browsing, what is easiest? Because like you said, you have sex and you can sort of use that. Although that's pretty funny how it's like, oh my God, the girl from Daenerys from Game of Thrones lives in the trailer park down the street and she wants to chat. Like, oh my God. I know. So they try certain things to get that. But, and then jokes. They can do comedy, but that's a real hard one to figure out your sense of humor. What they'll do is I like Norm Macdonald, so now everything is just Norm everywhere. But they can't quite get the ones I like the best. But anger, they can find what makes you mad. And you look at your friends now and your peers, and I don't care what age you are, and the anger, say, around politics. And it's completely and it's because they go, oh, we can get you to click on this, so let's push them even further. It's like if I get your attention by going, hey, Jimmy over there says you're a piece of shit, and I see you get mad, and then I go, oh, you should shoot him, because it just gets you all riled up. And I think that a lot of the addiction that we see is sort of feeding into that. And the reason I wanted to talk about this as a topic was I recently went and we talked about video game addiction, and with my Reddit account, I didn't completely cut the cord. What I did was I deleted my account where I would comment, and now I just have like a lurker account, which probably still isn't great, but because I found sometimes I know it's hard for people to guess I like making bad jokes, so I'd make bad joke comments a lot. I didn't say anything really to get me in trouble, but I would do things like politician passes law to eat children, and I'd write something like, what a piece of shit. And it's like, people would give me the little likes for it, but like, what am I doing? Like, is that changing did that create the butterfly effect of that politician's downfall? Like, polls are showing they think he's a piece of shit after this comment. Like, it's not doing anything but kind of, and so it's interesting when you take yourself out of that and out of commenting, you realize that 99% of the things I was going to say, I didn't really have to say. And then there's
you're a commenter. You're a commenter. You're someone who goes on there. You're not passive.
No.
You're on there, and you'll get fired up by something, and you'll
I'll
be
say
like, how dare you?
I got like during I'll just say the politics of these past few years got me kind of a little bit more lit up than normal. But most of my stuff still would be jokes. And then you'd feel like I'd get a joke that would get like thousands of likes, and you're like, and then you read the comment back that you wrote. You're like, I'm a pretty funny guy. And it's just unhealthy. Like, that's just not probably what you should be doing with your time. And so I cut myself off from it. And I was thinking about it in terms of even just browsing these social media sites. Think about your friends and the people that surround you in your regular life. Probably have about, 5 to 10 really good stories. Like, if you get to know somebody, they've got like 5 in the pocket, this happened to me. And then once you know those 5 stories, besides, I went to the grocery store today, you're not getting a lot of like new, but I have this thing in my hand, and literally right now, people all around the world are combing the earth to find things that I might find interesting. Another example I thought was YouTube had Reddit videos where they would use the robotic voice, and they would do like ghost stories. So it would be a thread, what was your greatest supernatural experience? And then it would be 10 people going, a demon ate my face when I was cooking s'mores. But in real life, you know your 5 friends and they tell you your best stories and maybe one's interesting. But on the internet, now it's 1,000 people and you get to whittle down only the most interesting aspects of it. And I mentioned that, and I'm going to go on a little tangent, but I'm bringing it back. They say if you're addicted to cocaine, it brings your serotonin level up so high that if you ever, your body starts compensating and making, it says I don't have to make that hormone any because I'm getting so much. And then if you quit, it takes you sometimes years to even feel like modicum amounts of pleasure from regular things. And I think the internet might be doing that to us as a society, because I can go and get the most interesting story from the most interesting person because they probably have a lot of views on whatever. And now, well, Bob over here, not quite doing it for me. And so
Yeah,
I think to be a healthy human being is to be present around the people in your life. I think you owe it to them and they owe it to you. But it's hard when you've got crack cocaine in your phone. And also the idea of I can say something right now. We're making a video. I mean, our first video had 2,000 views, which to some people is nothing. But to me, it was like, if I said something and 2,000 people sat down to listen, that's a lot. Versus I tell my buddy a good joke, and that's great and all, but he's one guy. Sorry, Nick, if you're listening. And so it's easy to get lost. And I think Marshall McLuhan, was a philosopher on media and communication in the 60s, and he was famous for the phrase, the medium is the message. And what he meant by that was more like printed media, and how the idea of how we perceive the world was changed by printed media. An example would be picture a tree. You've never been outside, but you read everything about a tree, and you know what kind of tree it is, you know what kind of seeds it has, and all of this. And even though you're full of all this information, you really don't know anything about the actual experience of being around nature. And his theory was, you know, if you go out then and really experience it, you kind of read the tree, even though it's in front of you. In other words, you don't have a clear perception of what it is, and his camera's gone. You just have your idea of what it is, and he believed that profoundly changed society and how we view things. And I think the internet is another extension of that, and we're perceiving only the most extreme, everything in 10-second snippets. And I think that is changing how we interact with the world, and there are some benefits, but I think a lot of it can be sort of a detriment, and we can be sort of missing the forest through the tree. I feel cheesy for even saying that, but missing the forest through the trees.
I know what you mean. 2 points on that, I suppose, is that when I first started my Discover series, which is me putting a record on and talking, when I first started, I wasn't referencing the music at all. I was putting a record by King Gizzard or Tame Impala or something on, and I was just telling stories about my life over the top. And using something happened in the song, and I'd think, oh, that was a funny story about that, a live gig once. Or I remember coming into Lonerism and Currents by Tame Impala, already knowing what I was going to talk about, regardless of the music, just using it as a backdrop. But I'm on 161 now, and you're right, there's only so many funny stories or interesting stories that any person has. And when you've used them all up, you then get to just air drumming and nodding your head and going, oh, that's good. And then it's almost like I need to either retell some of the early stories or come up with some new stories.
I also think a talent that you have and why a lot of people tune into you with that is because you have a quick wit, and part of having a wit is being present in the moment. You're right here, something happens, let's capitalize on it now, and you've got to be pretty quick about it.
Yeah, I'm quite good at that. Am I? Yeah, I am. I'm quite good at that. Point number 2, though, was kind of detrimental to that. Point number two. Point number 2.
Give me my close-up now. Just give me my close-up.
Number 9.
And then we'll
number 9. Number 9. Point number 2. Point number 2 is my attention span is worse than it's ever been. Honestly. It's probably fueled the sort of things that I used to rebel against when TikTok first became a thing and 15-second videos came out. I was the first person to say this is nonsense. Yeah. But the whole world just started watching and flicking for hours and hours at a time. And you know what? Not so much TikTok, but it can be TikTok, but YouTube Shorts and things. I occasionally my thumb just strays onto the YouTube Shorts thing, and I press it, and I'll be the first to admit I'll watch it, and then I'll flick it up, and before you know it, an hour's passed.
Yeah.
And it's similar to my whole life now, where I cannot focus. It's a huge detriment. I find that people will talk to me and my mind's wandering, and I just want them to stop. And
because
you know
have
what I mean?
that. Well,
it's like an illness.
Have that option.
It's an illness,
and it is. And I think another part of that illness is you making these videos and having 100,000 subscribers. And I know you well enough to know you're yourself. And obviously there's a public image to everybody. But for the most part, and I would say with this podcast, if you hung out with us, this is how we talk. Like, we're not, but you can see the disease, so to speak, if you tune into this a year from now and I'm going, okay, light me on fire, Mercurial. Because it's like, and you see that. I had a girl, I won't even say how I know her, but on my Facebook, and she would post like sepia tone photos of her looking in the distance, and it would be like, I have a dream, Martin Luther King, written beneath of it. And it's easy to laugh, but at the same time, I think people are just so starved for some kind of recognition and some kind of connection that it starts off like kind of normal, like we're doing now, and then it just gets off and like, so I put a lot of pictures of my kids up. You can see when it gets unhealthy, if a lot of parents, it's like suddenly my face is in front of the kid on all the pics, and I'm doing muscles and they're sort of in the background and I'm going like, and you can see, and I don't fault them in the sense of I think it can sneak up on you where it's like, oh, I put a picture up and all these people are saying, you're wonderful. This is wonderful. And it feels really good, especially if life can be hard. We all get depressed. We all want recognition. But then it's like, well, if I go to that well and every day I'm putting another, am I handsome? Please tell me I'm handsome. And it's interesting because if you have a buddy that drinks too much or does drugs or overeats, you get to a point where you have an intervention. But how do you say to someone on Facebook, like, I think you need to cool it a little bit?
You obviously don't look at my Instagram feed, then, do you?
I don't have Instagram. Do you
right,
do that?
Because if you
actually, I have one, but I haven't gone in like 3 years.
You wouldn't be saying any of this if you saw my Instagram feed.
Oh no.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Hang on.
I can't see it. Yeah, wait.
What? Right? Hang on. Right? Hang on. You wouldn't be saying any of this if you saw my Instagram feed.
Well, 6, that's why this is actually an intervention. All right, bring out the listeners. Bring out the listeners. Wouldn't it be funny if like 800 people are standing behind me, like I invited them to my house? We need to talk about your Instagram.
But
I will defend you. I will defend you. You have a channel with 100, because I will say I am friends with you on Facebook, because you can tell because I dox you all the time, unfortunately. But and it's all pictures of your cat and stuff. It's not because because you're doing this for I don't want to call it a business because it's more of a you haven't even thought about monetizing it until like now. It's a pleasure thing that you do, but it's more of it's for the cause, I'll say.
It's thinking about keeping avenues of contact open. So I might only post a video every couple of weeks, but every day pretty much you'll have a picture of me doing this. And I just feel like it keeps people, it's almost like a hand coming out, and they can choose to go like that if they want.
Yeah. I think I have that weird mix of I want attention and yet I hate attention. So like it's hard for me to do this podcast. And
you mentioned Facebook, right? That Facebook was like the first one really, right? And I've just sort of come away from Facebook. I still look at, I use it to have a quick glance, see what the world's up to. But I took it off the front screen of my phone, so I don't open the app that much anymore. I tend to go to like Instagram or whatever. But I just feel like Facebook, it's the app that everybody is on.
Well, Facebook is age.
But it's
Facebook has reached
generation.
I mean, yeah. I'm old enough to remember when MySpace became the party everybody left. When your aunt joined Facebook and your grandmother's on there, the cool kids left a long time ago. And I am on it because I have old friends, and there's this weird thing where it's like old friends that I really don't want to necessarily, I wouldn't hang out with them anymore. There's just not enough time in the day, but I do care about them and I want to see how they're doing and what's up. And then I have kids, so there's like kids, so I know Zuckerberg is stealing all my information and it's awful and I hate it. But there's enough there as far as connection that I stay. And for me, it's jokes, pictures of my kids, and sometimes a song I'm listening to is the extent of like, but you see like politics will get people. I think with politics on Facebook, I think there should be a rule that you're only allowed to post if it disagrees with your normal partisan stance. So like if you're a red guy or a blue guy and you're always just talking point red, talking point blue, I only want to hear from you when you go, you know what? I'm for Infrastructure Week. I think that's a good thing. Or, Biden's got a good thing. Like, because that to me is interesting. I just assume already that you agree with everything you've always agreed with. But it's funny, when I was younger, I was earnest and I thought like talking it out could solve problems. Like what a summer child I was. But now I used to be like, why can't we talk about religion and politics? And now I'm like, oh, I get it. Because you're not changing, no matter what my view is, if I said it to you right now, I'm not changing hearts and minds. If you agree with me, you're going, oh, he's one of us. And if you don't, you're going, oh, I knew I always hated that idiot.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of what you're saying there kind of probably affected the various general elections in this country and the referendums in this country. And I think your your presidential elections. The idea that people comment on things that they feel strongly about. The algorithm on Facebook picks up on the fact that they're interested in that. It feeds them nothing but that.
And pushes
they live
them
in a
more
little
towards
cocoon.
extremism, too.
Cauldron, yeah, you're right. It
It's
funnels
that
them
anger
down.
thing. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it takes the centrists and it pushes them. And I think bots are another interesting thing where I am not in the best of shape. And let's just say normally I would not wear a belly shirt. Like I would not wear a shirt that showed off my midriff. It's not something I would do. But how many people would it take going, you know what, Bill? I think if you showed off that belly of yours, you're pretty sexy. So what is the number of people it would take for me to be walking around like, I guess I'm looking pretty good? And the
7.
answer, well, no, the answer is Phil Simms once said, when everybody asks you how much money, the correct answer is always more. So the correct answer would be more. I would need more bots. But I think everybody has a number. And my point is, I think when it comes to yeah, 5 people told me to do it. Let's face it. I'd do this whole thing topless. This next podcast, but I think you have people. They're pushing you to more extreme views, and then it's saying, and 10,000 people right now not only agree, they think it should go further. And I do think people go, well, maybe. And I think the algorithm, because it only surrounds you with things you agree with, because it wants to keep you clicking. I think there's a lot of people that go, how come it seems like everyone in the world agrees with me about everything, but the real world doesn't seem to mirror that? And I think there's a genuine confusion because people don't know that behind the scenes, it's all sort of fake. And what I think about is, for the time being, we talked about video games. There's a clear separation between social media and real life in the sense of, it's a video versus a real experience, and sex in real life is better. But what happens when virtual reality gets to the point where you can be in a world and maybe there's a small suspension of disbelief, but sex feels real and everyone thinks you're awesome? What is there to bring you back to reality? Because we will reach, I think, that point maybe 50, 100 years.
I don't think it'll be that far. Have you seen a couple of episodes of Black Mirror that reference this? There's the episode with I've forgotten the name of the woman, Bryce Holly. There's the
Bryce Holly Mofo.
Yeah,
That's my favorite actress.
Holly Mofo, Bryce Howard Mofo. That it's like a Instagram like, Facebook like world, and everyone.
Oh yeah.
Every activity you do in life,
well, China
someone
does
will
that.
like.
Yeah.
Yeah. So every interaction you have, someone will give you a score. And it's almost like the score's above your head, and your whole life is governed by likes. Which seem when you watch the Black Mirror episode, it's like, yeah, right. But actually, the world is already like that.
Well, yes, and it's Pavlovian.
It's already like that.
And it's nefariously Pavlovian in the sense of it'll slowly train. Like I always wonder, growing up with our shows, would it be 15 minutes commercials for every half hour? So you've literally got people just lying to you for 15 minutes out of every 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And we would spend a lot of time on TV back then. And now it's like the rise of the grifter politician. I wonder how much of that is that we've normalized someone just lying to your face as a part of everyday life. And that the internet's just making that even worse. I almost thought it would be the death of the bullshit artist. It seems like it's the opposite.
No. I think that lies are more tolerated, more acceptable, and have become the norm now.
Yeah.
People are watching 15 seconds of lies and then flicking up. Most of these videos. Hang on. It's all right. I wasn't right.
Ladies and gentlemen, please take this moment to just be grateful for life. Take a deep breath with me. Inhale. Exhale. Let's feel it in your chest. All right, and now back to the show.
Most of these videos on YouTube Shorts and TikTok, a lot of these videos anyway, they're set up, right? And I watch them, and they got hundreds of thousands of views, millions of views, hundreds of thousands of comments. And some people, you always get the smart aleck who will comment with fake news or whatever.
Yeah.
But they're all set up. You watch it and you think, why would he be there? Why would they be videoing that? But I don't even mind anymore. If it makes me laugh, if that little bit makes me laugh, even skeptical Mercurial number 6, who would usually be like, look at this fake nonsense. I'm thinking, do you know what? I don't mind anymore. I think the whole world is becoming plastic and fake.
And I agree. And
I'm
I think
part of it, and you're part of it in our own little ways.
Well, and I think what worries me about it is my reaction has been to just tune out everything, to just go, I can't trust anybody, because man, he's really drinking that beer. He's like frozen in time. But yeah, where I feel like anybody is speaking, I kind of assume they're full of shit, unless proven otherwise, which might be a good way to do it. But it just closes you off to a lot of things because you just assume everyone is just a brand, and that there's nothing real to be kind of gotten through things.
It's like the YouTube thing, because YouTube's my main thing.
And I do a lot of YouTube too.
I look at it on my phone constantly. My own site kind of thing I'm looking at, but not just that. I'm on the home page of YouTube. Most people will find that YouTube will cater to their every need because of the same algorithm as Facebook, where you'll watch one thing and it'll go, oh, you like that, do you? Here's a load more of it.
Yes.
And I've got it on my TV as well, so I've got it on my phone with me all the time. I'll walk around the house with I'll never now be for a second without. I'll never now. I've got to keep saying it because I'll forget what I was about to say.
He'll never now.
I'll never now. I'm never at the moment. I'm never now. I'll stick with I'm never now. I'm never now ever without a YouTube video or similar playing. Even if it's just the audio, I'm listening to it, I'm looking at it. Every room, the phone comes with me, gets put down there with the audio playing. I've got it on my TV in the living room. I put it up, the homepage comes up, it caters, it throws loads of stuff at me.
I'm one of the jerks that pays for premium. And so I'll be listening. I like listening to true crime interrogations. So I'll be like eating dinner, and in my ear it'll be like, then he carved up his family and put them into a stew. And I'm like, honey, could you pass the salt? And I'm eating with my family, eating this stuff like.
No, that's good.
But I did want to make a comment. I think it's hilarious that you're self-destructive enough that the second you get to 100,000 subscribers, you're like, and now we know that means nothing. Subscribers are so yesterday. Now that I've accomplished my goal, they are the thing of the 60s.
It's such a shame. It's such a shame that.
But that does mean something.
It was a goal. It was a goal, and.
Oh my God! Now I've frozen. And that was not a particularly flattering frozen thing either.
it was
Christ.
I'll keep it going. It's all right. It was a goal. And I didn't think I would ever accomplish getting 100,000 different people.
That is an amazing
to give me a vote of confidence, even if they just pressed a button and never returned ever again. There was a moment in each one of those people's lives where they said, I like this guy or this video so much, I'm going to give him the extra vote of confidence. I'm going to subscribe. And I never thought I'd get to 100,000. So it has been genuinely nice. I mean, are you still there or not? What are you doing? Right,
I'm trying to get back there. That's better. Now it's just a symbol. Come on.
I never thought I'd. Oh no.
We have become fully automated. How the heck did this not? All right, I'm gonna pull this and plug it in.
Oh, that's so funny. Oh my god. That was brilliant.
Why is this?
I'm crying. I mean, I was sweat. It's as hot as the.
Oh my God! I think my phone was trying to call 911. Literally, the alarm was going off. Like,
oh no!
If I get a call back from 911,
it's as hot as the sun in here, but I'm now crying as well.
Go birds! Wait, wrong. Go birds!
Oh, that was funny. That was funny.
Am I back on? Let me see. Oh, there I am.
Can't remember what we're saying now.
You were talking.
100,000. So 100,000
Yeah.
subscribers, yeah, and it's obviously the view count is. You can have 100,000 people in an arena looking at you. You can be on the stage, 100,000 people, but if they all turn their backs on you So what? So it's, oh no.
It's this kind of quality entertainment that we're hoping to build our numbers up for this podcast up. People are like,
It's
my
funny,
favorite
isn't it?
part is where I can't see or hear them.
The funny thing is, you mentioned earlier that the first episode we did was like we did the Hound of the Baskervilles, and it was like
Yeah.
2,000 views. But
Yeah.
we've settled down now to the to the norm, which is just like, well, the people that are watching right now or listening right now,
Yes.
it's only a handful of us, but that's kind of what I was getting at with the whole.
We got to 800 last time. Our last video
It's
was 800.
it's quite good because it's.
I'm
it's
happy
only,
with 800.
I'm happy as well, and it is interesting because I was looking back through my old videos. I did about probably about 1,000 videos now in total, but I've unlisted a lot of them on my. I've unlisted a lot of them on my YouTube channel, but when I look back through the numbers of about 500 of the videos, so many of them only had, a maximum 200 views, and it was. I considered it good if it got to 300. So it's funny how your brain, like you were saying about is it serotonin or whatever, like
Yeah.
whatever it is, that you change from being satisfied with 300 or 1,000. Imagine 1,000, and then I get a Travis Scott video that gets 300,000, and because of that,
It ruins the rest. Yeah.
it ruins everything. Because now I put this out, and this might get say 9 or 10,000. But what I've got to remember is there's a limited number of people in the world who even know about this band, Black Midi. And out of that limited number of people, there's only a few people who are going to watch someone talk about it. So, I mean, I'll go with that. I quite like that freeze frame there.
I'll say 800 views is enough for me that if I'm talking with someone in real life, I go, I'm not sure if you know this, but I am a pretty big deal. I think 800's enough to get me.
I think if you were like you get like a duck crossing the road and they got like little ducklings behind them and all the traffic stops to let them cross. If you were now a duck,
Good analogy. I
if
know
you
where
were
you're
a
going
duck
with this.
and you've got 800 little ducklings behind you, you'd
What
feel
if you had a
quite chuffed.
goose for every 2 ducks?
Yeah, okay. What about and then
Duck,
and then
goose.
duck, goose, and then 2 gooses equal 1 swan.
Yeah, okay.
So you could have ducks and geese and swans. I forgot what were we talking about? A farm.
Fowls.
Farm.
So you started going into fowls. I don't know what this is.
Oh dear. It's been one of those. It's been one of those days today. I'll tell you. So many things. Everything's gone wrong today, and it's culminated with me having to drink cans of lager. It's terrible.
It's caused me
apologise.
to go off the deep end drinking decaffeinated coffee.
Decaffeinated coffee. Do you know what a lot of it is? It's all related to social media because my whole life is based on thinking about being successful on YouTube and funneling interest towards YouTube by posting on Instagram. Twitter's the one that I've never. Twitter seems to be one of the biggest things in the world, and people use it. J.K. Rowling and Donald Trump, all these people are using it, but I've never found a way to successfully use Twitter. I've tried to sort of say, just got up and having my breakfast, but it was like you were saying about interesting stories.
With that kind of riveting content, I'm surprised you're not.
Exactly. That's the thing. It's like the tweets that get attention are the interesting tweets, but you read them. You'll read a tweet and you'll go, that's good. Jokes mainly, the jokes.
Well, yes,
aren't
and
they?
I think Twitter is more about sort of, a news story is flying by and you kind of like catch it by the back and hang on the back of it and try to like. And then if you do enough, people start to know who you are if you're not already a celebrity.
Yeah.
Ambulance chasers. That's what I'm saying. All Twitter
Ambulance
people
chasers.
are
Yeah.
ambulance chasers.
Yeah. So but between YouTube, certainly YouTube and Instagram, my whole life has been positively affected because I've got a hobby that has 100,000 people who have at one time been positive towards it. And negative.
And that's amazing.
And it is amazing.
It's
That is
amazing. It's amazing. I mean, just think about 10 years ago. What did you do this weekend? Well, 10,000, 100,000 people watched me do something. Like, unless it's something like horrific, like, I don't know. Unless it's.
That would be brilliant for a TikTok video.
Did you know? I just heard there was a story a bridge collapsed and too many people were on it because I think they were watching a clown like ride a swan in the lake or something, and the bridge collapsed, and that's how they died.
Is that true? It
Yeah.
sounds like a Pink Floyd song from like '66, written by
Yeah.
Sid Barrett. I'm sure he wrote a song about people dying because they were watching. What were they doing?
Swans, swans, swans,
Swans.
in the lake. Bridge will shake, shake, shake. Now it's fall. People went to watch the clown swim on the swan today, and then the bridge fell. Everyone did die. Anyway,
That was like Jim Morrison. That could have been on the Soft Parade.
Mother, yes, son, a swan will kill you. So my question to sort of tie all of this into a not so neat bow.
Yeah.
Is-
Let's start tying the bow now.
Yeah, it is, and I'd be curious to hear people's opinions on this. What is a healthy balance? What is a healthy balance on how to use social media? And we all know that person we all hate that goes,
Well, I don't use any social media. Technically, I don't have it at all. I have a flip phone from like 1987.
and they're probably better off than all of us, but because it hurts. It hurts. But for me, I'm just
Healthy
trying to
balance. A healthy
Well,
balance.
And there was an article even about the news
balance.
where people weren't getting proper news because they felt like I had mentioned before, they would get stories that just made them feel awful but really had no effect on their day-to-day life. So how do you parse that out? So like the war in Ukraine, oil, gas prices, the possibility of nuclear war does affect. So how do you set some kind of an algorithm where it's like, only let me know of things that actually have an effect on me and leave me out on things that are terrible that are happening, but that I can't do anything to affect change, and they only, and then the addictive side of it also of wanting, I feel like I'm all right with wanting the attention. We do this for fun. This is an excuse for me and you to hang out almost. I don't feel like other than this, I'm doing a ton because I just crave the attention. But like, what is that balance?
I suppose the ultimate question would be, are we better off? Because the internet's a different thing. So the internet happened, and then almost kind of separately, Facebook crept in, and then the term social media happened. What it is, it's the ability to put your opinion out into the world.
Yeah. Let's stipulate this. When we were kids, there was celebrities and regular people.
Yeah.
And now we are all celebrities. We have a brand, whether you think of that or
Yes.
not. If I go to your social media profile and it's a half-ass picture and it's kind of yellow and doesn't look good and like everything's kind of haphazard and shit, people are going to form an opinion, right or wrongly, about that. So in essence, everything we do is a brand. And if you're like me, I kind of hate that because I don't like thinking about myself that way. But it's sort of forced us to do that because now if you apply for a job, if you have a bunch of pictures of you partying and stuff, that might risk you getting a job. So now that I think the rise of social media is the idea of everyone and your interactions taking the importance of that you place on your interactions through the internet, where it's not like, because there are local things. I'm part of local groups around here that could be like parents around the area or the police department in my town that I'm just on to hear. Like, I'm not on to interact. I'm on to hear them say, "Hey, this is happening here."
That's true. I get all my news now. I do
Yeah.
get all my news. Because, the local newspapers are on the Twitter feeds and that.
Well, the
So
tough
I
thing
do
with that,
see
though,
most things.
the tough thing with that is a lot of news organizations suffer the same thing. They don't get clicks by giving you a centrist view that doesn't have an
they gotta go
opinion
for
behind
clickbait.
it. It's got to be, this is bullshit behind whatever for people to really engage with it now. Because I miss the old, this happened. You figure out what that means.
Yeah, you're right. Because we haven't really talked about clickbait. We kind of have. We
Yeah.
kind of have talked. I mean, that's terrible.
That's a great. That was kind of Sid Vicious-esque.
That was the worst.
Oh, not Sid
freeze frame
Vicious.
yet.
Yeah, Johnny
That was the
Rotten-esque.
worst one yet. Yeah, you like the idea of clickbait, which gets a lot of bad press. Clickbait. But actually, everything's clickbait now, and
Yeah.
we live our lives as clickbait, even when we're not on social media. We're all we've all been influenced by social media. We're all trying to impress people, and I think it's obviously getting. Obviously my freeze frame syndrome is
He
getting
keeps
worse and
taking
worse.
stills of himself. We can't even get through a video without him posting selfies.
But when it comes to like overall, are we better off than when I used to ride my bike as a kid and play sword fights with bamboo sticks from the church grounds and watch Roland Rat on the telly and collect FIFA Panini stickers? Or did I eat paninis? Paninis.
Isn't panini like a food? Isn't that like a
Yeah, I know. I feel I've bugged that right up. But there's
panini?
a sticker
Stickers?
company.
So you get
Yeah.
stickers of sandwiches?
Yeah, I know. I used to
All
collect,
I need is the meatball and the Italian to complete my collection.
I used to collect stickers of meatballs.
People in
You're
England
right.
are weird, man. I don't know what
meant-
the heck.
Well, was that better or worse than if I was the same age today? I wouldn't be riding my bike or fighting with bamboo sticks. I would be on the internet, wouldn't I? Constantly. I'd be gaming on the internet. I'd be watching YouTube. Or they've actually moved on from that now. They're all watching TikTok or whatever the new thing is.
There's some good there. I wonder if you think it on an evolutionary basis, which obviously takes a longer amount of time. TV just started in the 50s. So that's 70 years ago when TV really started taking off, at least in America. We got introduced all this stuff in a very short time frame, really a lifetime, which isn't that big in the frame, in reference of things. So I wonder, do we react and do we adapt to this lifestyle? Almost like, now people don't maybe eat as much sugar as they used to because it got in everybody's diet and everybody started just everything sugar, Coke sugar, everybody's smoking cigarettes, all this. And then there was sort of a clap back where people said, okay, we have to regulate this. And is that something the government does, or is that something we naturally do? Do we get better at seeing bullshit? I'm kind of skeptical about that because if you look at human history, the feudal system lasted for a real long time, and then you had the church sort of behind it. Now you have media behind it. Now you have an even bigger, and pretty soon they'll be able to deep fake anything. It's much easier to
we've
fool.
got that to come.
Much easier to fool somebody than to tell them the truth.
We've got that to come, actually, haven't we? I've just seen the beginnings of it where
Sure.
I saw a Tom Cruise one where they had made Tom Cruise say something and it was like, you really couldn't tell it wasn't him. And I'm thinking now anyone could choose to make, not that they're going to be, no one's going to make the effort to do it for you, but they could. I could make you say anything and put it out there and
it's
ruin your
interesting
life.
because we've talked about hero worship in the past and making people into archetypes. Could we, as a society, be an ideals-based society over being someone that sort of worships celebrity? Because worshiping celebrity, you can be fooled, but if you just believe in something, an ideal, a way to be, then that can't really. I sound like I want to become Batman. You can't destroy that. You'll just become a symbol.
It's unlikely that I don't think you could become Batman.
I probably couldn't.
There's certain things are possible.
I'm too
but
short.
this-
I'm too short.
That's it.
I don't have
That's it.
I don't
You're
have
just
the-
too short.
I don't have the chin for it either.
Yeah, you're just too short.
If we're being honest. But I think that would have to be a necessary. If you just believed in certain things and you're pushing for that versus here's the guy, here's the girl, we got it. Because right now it's like we just pick somebody and they're infallible. And whatever side you're on, you pick somebody and they're good. And, can we adapt to the point where we stop doing that, where we look at things like, I don't know, cleaning up corruption and campaign contributions, and we said, we just want to be about that. It's not about voting for one person. We're going to vote for anybody who does this. And I don't see it happening, but I want it to happen.
I like your optimism. However, if you look at social media today, it's girls dancing, women making their boobs bounce, and blokes being rude to authority, turning up somewhere and just being rude to security guards or police or ambulance drivers, just to get a reaction to put it out on the internet. I just don't think we're gonna. Oh well, I mean that's it. So my overall comment is that.
I think no, I was gonna say I think you should have ended the video with, "I don't think we're gonna," and just cut to black.
I don't think. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna.
And but not sexually.
Not sexually. Never cut sexually.
That wasn't
I
a
don't know.
sexual moan.
Have we got anything else to say? That probably is the right place to. Did we decide then whether we are better off with it or not? I can't remember.
I think we're not.
You think we're not?
I think.
But
we're
like
not.
everything I do at the moment, I'm taking photographs to put them on Instagram because the problem is in the past I would take photographs, but when you printed photographs out and they would just go in a drawer, and now I've got hundreds of pictures on my phone that no one will ever look at. But when I put them on Instagram, at least, even momentarily, 200 or 300 people look at them. And then I've got YouTube where I'm putting myself out there onto the internet.
I think you being
I'm
able
not sure
to.
what I'd do without it now.
I think you being able to do what you've done with YouTube is an argument for. But I think if you were born in another time, maybe you find a way to do that the old-fashioned way. Like I think you've got what it takes.
What's the equivalent, the old-fashioned way? Just turning up with a ghetto blaster outside your house and talking over the music.
You can be ahead of you.
You play a record in your house, and I poke my head in through the window and just start talking and shouting. Oh, okay. On that bombshell, I think we've sorted it out. We would be better off without social media.
Burn it all down.
Burn it down. Burn it down.
But metaphorically speaking.
Yeah. Don't
really,
burn anything.
Don't burn
things.
Please,
anything.
Don't unless. Burn that subscribe button. Burn that like and subscribe. There is a bell. Hit the bell to be reminded when you're going to want the videos to come. Please hit the bell. Smash the like button and subscribe.
Hang on. Why did I have to go then? I was just about to. Hang on. Oh, hang on.
EOS webcam. What the heck? Scared the bejesus out of me.
Yeah, so press the subscribe button. Press the subscribe button. Press the subscribe button.
Go Birds.
Press the subscribe
Don't forget to hit the bell.
button.
Don't forget
Press
to
the
hit the
subscribe
bell.
button.
Subscribe, like, and subscribe. Please like my subscribe. Like when I say subscribe. Hit thumbs up when I like the subscribe. The bell. Hit the bell.